Hello, everyone. Today, I'm going to talk about some common folk remedies that people often repeat. For example, we often do folk remedies like holding our hands when we have a cold, drinking carbonated beverages, or pulling our noses back when we have a nosebleed. Do these remedies really work? In fact, most of these methods are ineffective. They're just placebo effects. Drinking carbonated beverages may make you feel better because it helps you digest food, but it actually puts more strain on your stomach and can actually be bad for you. Pulling your nose back when you have a nosebleed is also not very effective. People often follow these folk remedies without thinking, and they can actually cause real harm. So, are there bad habits in money management like these folk remedies? There are money management habits that we can actually cause harm to by doing what others tell us to do without thinking much. Today, I'm going to look at two of them. First, let's talk about paying off debt. People often think that paying off debt is a good habit, but that's not always true. Especially in the wrong situation, it can become a bad habit. We always heard from our parents, "You have to pay off your debt, don't use loans." However, these days, the generation hears this less, and sometimes they hear that using loans to invest can be a good strategy. Nevertheless, it is an overly generalized case to think that paying off debt is always a good thing. There are good debts and bad debts. Good debts are debts for acquiring assets, and bad debts are debts for consumption. If you take out a loan for asset acquisition, for example, to invest in an apartment, it may be more beneficial to not pay off this debt. For example, if you have 100 million won in debt, and the interest rate is 3%, the annual interest is 3 million won. If you invest this money in an apartment, and the expected return is 10 million won in 2 years, it may be beneficial to pay 6 million won in interest for 2 years. In this case, it is better to invest the money and get more returns than to pay off the debt. Therefore, it is important to calculate the actual benefits and decide, rather than just blindly paying off debt. On the other hand, it is basically better to pay off debt for consumption. For example, if you invest 500,000 won per month to pay off debt, you don't have to pay it off if you can invest this money elsewhere and earn more quickly, but it is basically better to pay off debt for consumption. However, you can also apply the 5050 rule when paying off debt. In Bodo Schaefer's philosophy of money, it is said that when you have money, you should never use more than 50% of it to pay off debt. For example, when you earn 2 million won, it is advised to use 1 million won for living expenses. Use only 500,000 won of the 1 million won to pay off debt, and save the remaining 500,000 won. The first reason is that you never know when an opportunity will come. For example, people who had cash during the COVID-19 crash gained the most profits. You need to have cash when an opportunity comes so that you can turn a crisis into an opportunity. Second, to create an economic airbag. An economic airbag is a financial cushion that allows you to respond in a crisis. It is important to secure the minimum cost, multiplied by the number of months of expenses in cash. For example, if you need 5 million won per month and it will take 6 months to find your next job, you should have 30 million won in cash. This will allow you to survive any crisis. Second, let's address the issue of listening. One of the worst habits related to money management is to listen to others without thinking. While listening may be an important quality, blindly following advice on a particular investment, technique, or timing can be dangerous. This is because others may have different goals and timelines than you. For example, if someone is a short-term investor, they may recommend a particular stock to make a profit in the short term. However, if you are thinking of being a long-term investor, that advice may not be right. Likewise, it is not good to evaluate the advice of someone who plans to pass on a particular property in the long term. In the end, the most important thing is to clearly know what game I am playing, depending on whether I am investing long-term or short-term, real estate or stocks, domestic or overseas. It is important to listen to the advice of people who are good at the same game as me. Accordingly, you can make beneficial investment decisions by receiving advice that fits your game. Today, we learned about the 2 worst money management habits. First, it is important to get rid of the habit of unconditionally paying off debt. and to calculate the actual profit by distinguishing between debt for asset acquisition and debt for consumption. Second, rather than unconditionally listening to other people's investment advice, you should clearly know what game you are playing and receive advice that fits it. Everyone, I hope that through what we talked about today, you will develop better money management habits. Thank you.